International Day Against Nuclear Tests is being observed today on 29th of August every year. If you want to know about this day, followed by the types of nuclear tests since 1945, stay tuned and welcome to Strategic Calculus. In the 21st century, the nuclear politics differentiate itself from the preceding centuries, wars, politics, and peace alike. In the words of famous scholar Bernard Brodie, thus far the chief purpose of our military establishment has been to win wars. From now on, its chief purpose must be to avert them. It can have almost no other useful purpose. In the essence, he argued in his book, The Absolute Weapons, Atomic Power and World Order, that the usefulness of nuclear weapons is not in its deployment, rather in the threat of its deployment. Since then, the world has seen the first and until now the last use of nuclear weapons by United States against Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two cities of Japan in World War II. According to United Nations, the nuclear weapon testing started on 16th July 1945. Since then, nearly 2,000 nuclear tests have taken place. In the earlier days, and owing to the devastation caused by these weapons, little effort was made to consolidate the adverse effects of testing and impacts on human and the fallouts in atmosphere. There will always remain an element of conditions that may go awry during the testing of nuclear devices. In order to control such fallouts, keeping in mind the peace and security dynamics of contemporary world politics, the United Nations General Assembly at its 64th session in 2009 declared August 29 of every year to be the International Day Against Nuclear Tests. The Resolution 64/35, Pointer 1 states that declares 29 August as the International Day Against Nuclear Tests, devoted to enhancing public awareness and education about the effects of nuclear weapon test explosions or any other nuclear explosions and the need of their cessation as one of the means of achieving the goals of a nuclear weapon-free world. The resolution was initiated by the Republic of Kazakhstan with a view to commemorating the closure of a nuclear test site on 29th of August 1991. Let us examine the classification of nuclear testing now. According to Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, the nuclear testing accounts for atmospheric testing, high-altitude nuclear testing, underwater testing, and underground testing. First is the atmospheric testing that refers to all those tests taking place in the atmosphere. Over 2,000 nuclear explosions were detonated worldwide between 1945 and 1996. Over 200 by United States, over 200 by Soviet Union, about 20 by Britain, about 50 by France, and over 20 by China. In 1954, the United States tested its hydrogen bomb, Castle Bravo, in the Pacific's Marshall Islands. The test created the worst radiological disaster in the United States testing history, whereby accident local civilians on the Marshall Islands, the US servicemen stationed on Rungrik Atoll, and the Japanese fisher trawler Lucky Dragon were contaminated with the fallout. Second is the high-altitude atmospheric testing. Around 20 nuclear tests were conducted by United States and Soviet Union in the high altitudes or lower outer space between 1958 and 1962. The main aim of these explosions, detonated at heights between 40 and 540 kilometers, was to determine the feasibility of nuclear weapons as anti-ballistic missile defense or anti-satellite weapons. The largest such test, the 1.4 megaton US Starfish Prime test in 1962, damaged and destroyed several of the satellites in orbit at the same time and led to widespread power outages on the ground. Third is the underwater testing. These are the explosions that take place underwater or close to the surface of the water. The first underwater nuclear test, Baker, was conducted by United States in 1946 at its Pacific Proving Grounds in the Marshall Islands with the purpose of evaluating the effects of nuclear weapons used against naval vessels. Later in 1955, the United States Operation Wigwam conducted a single underwater nuclear test at a depth of 600 meters to determine the vulnerability of submarines to nuclear explosions. The fourth is the underground testing. Underground testing means that nuclear explosions are detonated at varying depths under the surface of the Earth. These comprised the majority of all nuclear explosions detonated during the Cold War, that is, over 800 of all tests conducted by the United States and nearly 500 of all the tests conducted by the Soviet Union. When the explosion is fully contained, underground nuclear testing emits negligible fallout compared to the atmospheric testing. However, if underground nuclear tests went to the surface, they can produce considerable radioactive debris. Underground testing is usually evident through seismic activity related to the yield of nuclear device. And finally, you can also watch the documentary movies about the disasters surrounding nuclear weapons. Trinity and Beyond, 1995, The Day After, 1983, Threads, 1984. Stay tuned for more videos from our platform on different international days.